What's up, Browns fans? Welcome to episode 14 of the Dawgs podcast. Let's kick this thing off.
Welcome to the Dawgs podcast with your hosts Blake Reneker, Zach Kopp, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, everyone? We're back in the studio on a Friday instead of our normal Sunday. Josh thinks it's okay to take vacation in the middle of podcast season.
Yeah, I should have cleared that with you guys first.
Yeah,
Sorry
I didn't approve your vacation, man.
Everybody gets a bye week.
You're going to get an attendance point. Before we get started, remember, check us out on all our social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. We're still trying to get to that 100 subscribers. Today we might speed through this episode a little bit. This is a sleep-deprived episode for Zach and Justin, so that's how dedicated we are to this podcast.
Yeah.
We come in here on no sleep, bang this thing out.
How long you guys been awake now?
I'm going on close to 24 hours.
Yeah, I'm at like 28,
Yeah.
I think.
So if I start slurring words and stuff, I'm not drunk. Unfortunately.
That really sucks for you guys. I got up at I had to get up early today too. I got up at noon.
Yeah. I literally got home from work last night, ate dinner, watched some TV, played some video games, got back in the car, went back to work.
Oh, nice. Life of a businessman.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if you'd spend more time actually working and less time watching Criminal Minds, you wouldn't have to go to work twice in a day.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, man. Well, hey, today we want to, go over the NFL 100 list that came out, I think, 2 weeks ago. 4 Browns players on that. But before we dive into that, we want to go around the league a little bit. Some, bigger NFL news just happened just yesterday. 2 of the best tight ends in the league signed extensions. George Kittle, a 5-year, $75 million deal. I'm pretty sure half of that was guaranteed. And Travis Kelce signed a 4-year, $57 million deal. To me, I was kind of surprised that Travis Kelce took that much less than George Kittle, especially when Kittle signed first. I kind of thought maybe he'd try to go above it. Kittle set the market. I think both deals, though, are good for the players, and I think in the long term for the teams, they're going to be kind of seen as a discount. I mean, George Kittle to me he's basically a receiver for them. Same with Kelce, and they're good receivers. Good receivers are getting paid $100 million contracts, $120 million.
But now does age have something to do with this?
Yeah,
because I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, this is probably not his last contract. He's 26 years old. Travis Kelce's 30. This is probably his last big contract.
I would agree with that.
And if you look at it, he really didn't take that much less. I think with the less, he lost a year off of that, what Kittle lost. I think it broke down to $500,000.
Yeah, I think Kelce.
That really ain't nothing to these guys.
Kelce getting this kind of a contract at the age 30 playing tight end, sweet.
Yeah, Ohio guy. Yeah, Ohio guy. Very, very exciting and fun to watch. I mean, me and Blake were talking about, those two are probably. You saw Hooper get big money this year, but those two are
That's what I wanted to bring up. So we're starting to see tight ends get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you about tight end necessity in the league? And what did we do?
Yeah.
We invested heavily in our tight end.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys had to pick age not a factor, are you taking Kelce or Kittle?
Kelce. Only based on this. Only based on quarterback. I feel he's in a better situation.
Well, who do you think's the better player, though?
I'm there. To me, it's 1A, 1B.
All right, so give Kittle to the Chiefs. Who's the better tight end?
Yeah,
I think Kittle is better.
I've seen Kittle drag 3-4 guys down the sideline.
To me, when it comes to receiving, I think they're basically. I mean, Kittle technically, I think has set the record for most receiving yards in the first 3 years by a tight end or something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the exact stat, but something like that. Mm-hmm. So he's no slouch when it comes to receiving, and he does the complete other half that Kelce doesn't really do when it comes to blocking. So I like George Kittle more. Obviously, we're splitting hairs here. Travis Kelce's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've always been a Travis Kelce fan, so that's partially the reason I'd probably take him. He's won me a lot of fantasy football games or whatnot, having him on my team. But they're both, fantastic tight ends or whatnot. You couldn't go wrong. You got these two, you got Hooper we signed, you got Zach Ertz is pretty good in Philly. I mean, there's a top tier of tight ends in the NFL, and then there's everybody else kind of
I think
a little bit further down the list.
it sets the bar too for, let's say, a Mark Andrews. If he keeps going the way, I mean, that offense keeps playing the way.
He's young.
He's super young. Yeah.
So his breakout was good.
Yep.
Bad for us, but
Well, let's move into some more, I guess you could say, lighthearted news, maybe for us, maybe not for this guy. Seattle Seahawks. This doesn't tell you how serious, the NFL's taking like the COVID
and we
stuff.
talked about that.
Yep.
Yeah. They cut rookie, I'm probably not saying this name right.
Probably not.
Kima Siverand, for trying to sneak a woman into the team hotel. And here's the kicker for me. He dressed her up in Seahawks gear so people would think she's a player. So what's this lady look like?
Right. So I got 2 points on
Some
this.
Mulan on us.
Yeah. I got 2 points. The first one is dressing her up like a Seahawks player. Even like when I've been to like training camp, even the kickers and the punters, you can tell
Our man?
Yeah,
Like our man?
yeah. I'm like, oh, hey, I don't know. I haven't seen the video, obviously, but I mean, I don't think I'd be fooled. Now I'm going to defend this guy because everybody's very like, there's rules and stuff right now. All I'm saying is 21-year-old Justin Charles, I don't know that I'm not sneaking somebody up into the hotel room. I mean, I'm sure
Just
that
got paid.
I'm sure.
Here's the thing, though. He didn't really get paid that much. This guy might make less per year than I did. He had a 2K signing bonus.
Yeah, 2K signing bonus, one undrafted out of Oklahoma State.
To put that into perspective, a 2K signing bonus, if I refer somebody where I work right now, I get $750.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was.
So this guy
they said it was tied for the third smallest bonus that the Seahawks gave this year.
Well, to his credit, I think she probably was good looking because she got caught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, there's no way that's Russell Wilson.
But this is we had this conversation. This is the sort of thing that I think we're going to see more and more. I mean, the Indians just dealt with 2 of their pitchers.
Yep.
Stepping out, and going out and not listening to the team rules.
And the players on the team were...
Well, you're messing with our livelihood.
Yeah.
That's how other guys are looking at this. Like, dude, this is our career. We got families. We got a limited window of being an elite athlete.
Yeah,
and you're not screwing this up for us.
Yes, I mean, like in the baseball world now, we're yet to see how it's going to affect football. But like the St. Louis Cardinals, didn't play a game for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like everybody else has, they've played almost 20 games into the MLB season, and St. Louis, I think, is at 6. So I mean, it is a big thing that making a decision like that is going to affect everybody else. So
I think
they're going to feel some type of way about it.
I think it's a lot easier decision, though, to cut the guy with a 2K signing bonus. If Russell Wilson would have got caught trying to sneak Sierra in, he probably wouldn't have got cut. But it does show how serious. There's if you're not a top tier guy on this roster, you better be towing the line because they're not going to waste time with you.
They're one of the few teams too that are doing the bubble. Like they're making a bubble in Seattle, and apparently that bubble was broken.
Yeah.
Popped the bubble.
But we said this too, with Lou Williams, he had family matters to attend to, and then, he's on Instagram with a rapper at an Atlanta strip club. I mean,
I wish now that they cut him, I hope that that this video gets released.
I saw a screenshot of it.
I want to see who was it? Was just Pete Carroll just sit there at night or whatnot, just watching the hallways or whatnot, see if anybody's sneaking in.
Definitely not our receiver.
They got walkie-talkies and code names.
Yeah. So I guess it was a Seahawks hoodie pulled. I'm reading
over some shoulder pads and thigh pads and stuff.
It was a Seahawks hoodie pulled up over her head, I'm told. So not the most elaborate plan for a guy that just made $2,000. Nobody probably thought he was a genius.
He could have at least got her the glasses with the fake nose and the fake mustache.
You know what's kind of nice about this, honestly, is we're talking about this happening to the Seattle Seahawks, because I feel like in years past, I would have been really worried about the Browns pulling some kind of thing like this.
This definitely would have been
a
Browns
Josh
thing.
Gordon move or Johnny Manziel thing.
Heck, even last year with Freddie, this kind of crap.
Freddie would have been super loose. Yeah, do whatever you want.
Yeah. She didn't have a temperature? Fine.
Let her in. Yeah.
Is she wearing brown and orange? Let her in.
She's one of us now. If you're not with us, you're against us.
Yeah. You need to get a t-shirt made. She snuck in on her own.
Yeah.
He started it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, hey, let's hope, nothing like that happens to the Browns, knock on wood now that we made fun of this guy for 5 minutes. So,
Right.
I'll get out of here, go get in my truck and turn on the radio and find out that half the Browns roster was caught at like Gatsby South. Oh, man. All right, so let's move into this NFL 100 list before Zach and Justin fall asleep. This came out a couple weeks ago, and we mentioned something on a little bit, I think a couple episodes ago. A couple things stood out to me. Our first player on the list coming in at number 80, to me, which is crazy, is Myles Garrett. And there's no way to me that Myles Garrett's the 80th best player in the NFL.
Yeah.
I'd be sitting around all day if you said, name me 79 people ahead of Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
I'd probably get to 10. And
Well, apparently Fletcher Cox, Jarrell Casey, Preston Smith, J.J. Watt was at 45. And here's the thing. This is for this year. So J.J. Watt was not better than Myles Garrett last year, even though Myles Garrett only played 10 games.
So they had Calais Campbell one spot ahead of him. Has the highest sack total for the year of any of the 3 years he's been in, 10.5.
Yeah, Myles had 10 last year in 10 games.
well, and apparently, I don't know, this must have been a disclaimer on the list, but you don't even need to be employed by an NFL team to make the list.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, Jadeveon Clowney's number 41. He's ahead of J.J. Watt, and he's not even on a team.
Yep.
There's no way. Jadeveon Clowney's never had a double-digit sack season. And they got him ahead of Myles Garrett. I mean, come on, guys. Like, to me, this is why players, though, because this is a player voted on list. This is why players don't get to vote for Hall of Fame. It's this kind of stuff.
They don't know what they're doing.
This is because it's all, like who their friends are, who they think is cool, this is why they don't get to vote for that kind of stuff, because there's no way. Not only is Jadeveon Clowney on this, Jadeveon Clowney, if he's even on this list, should be. I mean, you're talking, does he even make this list, in my opinion?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
And he's at 41?
Yeah, well, the only, I'm looking here, I think the only defensive player, the only defensive lineman in the top 10 is Aaron Donald. He's at number 3. So how do you go from number 3 all the way to 80 with Myles Garrett? Like, there's that big of a gap?
No.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
So...
Myles, we got your back, man.
Right.
This is a bunch of garbage.
They got a guy ahead of him, too. They got, at 71, Jarrell Casey, he's an end, but same thing. We'll just do from 2016 on, 5 sacks, 6 sacks, 7 sacks, 5 sacks a season. If I had to go and sign one of these guys, I would definitely take Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
Well, and this is
In a half year,
and
depending on crimes committed.
We're just talking about defensive players that are ahead of him.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm getting ready to look here, but like Kirk Cousins is ahead of him. You think Kirk Cousins is, the way I look at this is Kirk Cousins a better quarterback than Myles Garrett is a defensive end? No. So
That's
yeah,
right.
Kirk Cousins is at 58.
Khalil Mack's at 19.
Yeah, it's kind of low. Like, as far as
19.
down, I figured he would be.
He should have been in the
higher
top
up.
10.
Yeah. I mean, the top 10, don't get me wrong, you start seeing the top 10 guys and you're like, there's not like a guy that's
I
like,
understand, but
We'll get into the top
George
4 a
Kittle's
little
in
bit.
the top 10.
Yeah, I think he's 7.
Something
Yeah,
like
I guess,
that.
yeah.
We'll look here in a second, but I don't know. This is weird.
Yeah. Kittle was 7.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't get that. Some of it, Kirk Cousins. There's no way Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Myles Garrett is defensive end. So I don't know. I know we're even on this show. We haven't always been like, we've kind of been hard on Myles a little bit, saying like he hasn't completely lived up to his potential, but that doesn't mean he hasn't still been very good.
Been better than some of the guys that are ahead of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot on on the list that I think there's some other snubs too, but we can wait to get into that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From around the league.
Yeah.
So we'll move into our next. We'll kind of lump these two together because they're really close to each other. So our next player on the board came in at 61. It was wide receiver Jarvis Landry, and then just a couple spots higher than him was Odell at 59. There's a couple players here. So they had Stephon Diggs at 54.
Yep.
I'm taking Odell over Stephon Diggs.
Absolutely.
And Jarvis, I don't know. I guess you could talk about it. They're
Jarvis over
Diggs.
I don't know. That one's a lot closer.
I feel like Stephon Diggs, what was last year the most yards receiving he's ever had in a season? It was like just a little over 1,000. I mean, and Jarvis Landry lives in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like, to me, I blame Freddie for a lot of this. I know I blame him for like a lot of my problems in life. Like I was late getting here today. It was Freddie's fault. But if the Browns don't go 6-10 last year and we had the kind of season that we were supposed to, I feel like every Browns player's 15, 20 spots higher on this list.
Well, and I mean, so we're talking about some of these players that are ahead of Odell. I mean, okay, Amari Cooper's at 49. He's 10 spots ahead of him. Has Amari Cooper ever been an elite receiver for 16 games for a full season?
He's hobbled.
Now, I know that Odell, historically gets injured, each year, but he played 16 last year, right? I mean, even hurt. And the thing is, though, but he's been elite. When he's on the field, he is elite. Now, you got Amari Cooper disappearing games.
Right. Or he's not even on the field in games.
Yeah.
I mean, he's hurt all the time. This list, this was a list voted on by the players, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it makes me wonder, like how much is it that, how much of like a personal opinion of like how the guys treated you comes into this list, or like, I'm curious, like how did you do? Hey, here's a pen and paper, write down 1 through 100.
So Mason Rudolph was voting on,
like that's like one of the things, like, or was it like, hey, here's your quarterbacks, your running backs, list them, and then we'll rank them. So I was just, curious of how they, broke down the voting wise, how, like what happened. Obviously, number one's easy. You're like, oh, hey, he's got the most votes as the number one player, Is that how it went, all the way through 100? Mm-hmm. So, you had a couple guys that didn't vote for Myles Garrett as high, it was just.
I'm not sure how they did it. I know, just like sticking with this Odell and Amari Cooper comparison, last year it was considered a down year for Odell. He had 74 catches for 1,035 yards. Amari Cooper only had 5 more catches.
Mm-hmm. And had some I got his numbers pulled up, had some real bad years in Oakland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had 1,189 yards last year. So in a year in Amari Cooper, everybody thinks he's like amazing now. He had 5 more catches and a little over 100 more yards than Odell in a down year. And then, like he said, some of his Oakland Raiders, 680 yards in 2017, 280 yards in 2018.
They have that broke down into two with the Dallas trade. So,
and then when he went to Dallas, he had 725. So, besides last year, he hadn't had a 1,000-yard receiving season since 2016. Yep. Odell has never been below 1,000 yards except for the 1 year where he was hurt and missed most of the season.
Okay, so this might go to where, just real quick, of why it might shed a little light on a Myles Garrett ranking being lower. It's the NFL players, if your fellow NFL players vote in an off-season poll organized by the NFL where they vote on the performance of last season. It's the only season you count is last season.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fair.
So maybe that, is where you get that
people forgot of him.
Right. That or they're thinking, hey, Myles Garrett might have had a really good year, but the only thing I remember is him bashing Mason Rudolph in the head.
Right. I get that, but he did have 10 sacks. And some of these players that are listed ahead of him, they had amazing career years. They had 13 sacks.
Yeah.
They played a whole season, and Myles Garrett played 6 less games than them, almost had just as many sacks.
And 2019, Myles Garrett on the top 100, 49. So huge drop.
So, looking at this list though, and if we're basing everything, if they're voting off of last year's performances and things like that, we've got Beckham at 59, then Todd Gurley's at 51.
That's another thing that's crazy to me.
Gurley
shouldn't even be on this list.
He hasn't done anything.
The thing is, okay, so look at last year. Gurley came out and did not look like Todd Gurley. Right. They had him running decoy routes all year.
Yep. Bad knees.
I pulled up his stats from last year. He had 223 carries for 857 yards for an average of 3.8.
I don't think he's looked the same since that playoff run. He has not looked like the same guy, same explosive.
No, and he's the guy who got cut, not traded, not let go, or not, not re-signed. He was cut.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And they're going to put him above Odell Beckham Jr.
And what killed, maybe I'm a little bit, I don't like him as much because he basically cost me a fantasy season in my one league. I drafted this guy in the second round. He averaged 3.8 yards per carry.
Which is bad if you guys want. I mean, you're trying to hit 4 minimum.
I mean,
Yep.
I don't understand. To me, Todd Gurley shouldn't even be on this list, but if this is based on last year's performance.
Right.
He was not good at all last year.
He's just buddy with everybody that he plays against every week. So they're like, oh, we got to vote for Todd.
Yeah, his jersey's on my wall.
Yeah, I got to get that. Or I won his jersey this year. Hey, Todd, you got to thank me. I got you on that top 100 list. Give me that. It's like, they're not. I don't think they're allowed to exchange jerseys this year. I think that was a new rule.
They can tackle each other for 3 hours.
Yeah, clearly, as soon as the game's over, that jersey has COVID on it.
Yes,
100%.
It's so stupid. Oh, man. Like, offensive and defensive linemen line up from each other. Their faces are like inches away from each other and they're breathing on each other. But then after the game, we can't jersey swap.
Maybe they'll do a social distancing line of scrimmage or something this year. I don't know.
They can do like social distancing jersey swap. They have to stand like 10 yards apart and just throw jerseys at each other.
Yeah.
Social distancing, we would still get caught for holding.
Only on like long touchdown plays.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, this list, I think it does raise some eyebrows about like where they have people at, but it's got to be hard though to lump all these players together in one category. And I mean, where are your votes way more at? If you're a quarterback, I like the weapons, or you're a guy, hey, I like the offensive line, I'm going to vote. Those guys are top players in the NFL.
I know if I was looking at it, I would do it kind of like how I said earlier. Is this person is good at their position as this person is at their position. Yeah. That's kind of like how I feel like you'd have to look at it. So that moves us into our final player who's on this NFL 100 list. And to me, this is probably the biggest gripe I have. Nick Chubb comes in at 36. Not only is it the 36th ranking that kills me, he is the 7th ranked running back.
That's the thing. So I think maybe that's important too, to look at this, not so much as look at the other players in front of him, but look at the players in that position. Yeah. And that's what you did here. And I agree with you.
Aaron Jones at 33. Yeah. Aaron Jones is not better than Nick Chubb.
No. He just had a great run.
A lot of
touchdowns last year, and that's what people
They gave him the ball at the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
And what did Green Bay do this year in the draft?
They drafted a running back.
Yeah. What did Cleveland not draft?
Yeah.
And then, people might call me crazy here too, but Saquon Barkley is not better than Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I know Saquon's pretty good. You love that, and I know Blake's big argument of that is Saquon Barkley breaks off a 60-yard run and then
won't do anything.
And then he has like a bunch of 1 yard runs or whatnot, and it's like, hey man, that guy averaged 10 yards a carry today. Yes. Well, no, he averaged 60 yards on one play and 2.5 the other 10.
Yeah. There's one guy on this list where I feel like you could make the argument that Nick Chubb is as good or better than any of the guys ahead of him except for one guy. Christian McCaffrey is
to me. Christian McCaffrey, yep.
He is the complete package. He is a straight dog. He's just out there. He does everything for the team, or at least last year he did. Who knows what they're going to do this year? But
over 100 catches.
Yeah.
Running back.
Right.
Receivers don't even get that.
Right.
That's what's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. CMC. He's the real deal. Yeah.
So Saquon,
different breed.
I'm going to beat on this a little bit. Saquon, 1,003 yards. This is just based on last year's performance. Like Zach said, so his 1,003 is better than Nick Chubb's 1,494.
I know what you mean there.
Nick Chubb's 5 yard average per carry, Saquon 4.6, Saquon 6 touchdowns, Chubb 8. I mean, come on.
I'm with you though. I think Saquon is just a beast of a man.
Yep.
But did see him hurt last year.
Yep.
And Nick Chubb not. Nick Chubb was. I get that he had trouble scoring, especially second half of the season and all that kind of stuff. But, man, did you see our line?
Yeah, we were
trash. You know what I mean? I think Nick Chubb did phenomenal for what he was running behind.
Yep.
Nobody was higher than Saquon coming out of college than me. I wanted the Browns to take him so bad. So, but he is the epitome of like the flash in the pan guy, where he will run the ball 10 times and 8 of those runs are for 1 yard or less. But then that 9th or 10th run was, a 25-yard run. That is Nick Chubb. I mean, he will rattle off an 83-yard touchdown, but he never has negative plays. He always gets positive yards.
How much do you guys think it is too that he's just so quiet? He just
I think that has a little.
And he plays for the Browns.
Yeah,
yeah. I think
low market. Small city. I know Cleveland technically isn't a small city, but compared to like if he played for New York or a big time, or I don't know.
Chubb went 2nd round. Saquon went what?
2.
Yeah. Yep.
Saquon's all over TV, social media. Nick Chubb's not.
Yep.
But
I'm fine with that.
I'm taking Nick Chubb 10 times out of 10.
Nick Chubb is, and we've said this before, he's the kind of guy you want on your team.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude doesn't expect anything. He's not entitled. He doesn't want a handout for anything. He's going to prove and earn everything that he does.
So looking at this, then they got Zeke at 24 and Dalvin Cook at 21. To me, Nick Chubb is better than Dalvin Cook in my opinion. Zeke.
Yeah,
I think
like
Zeke's one of the top backs in the league, hands down. But I tell you what, another thing with Dalvin Cook, he's not always available.
Yes, shoulder,
and then
was it ACL 2 years ago?
Uh-huh.
This is the big one for me too. Is if Derrick Henry gets to be top 10, Nick Chubb should be top 10.
I agree with that.
Yep.
Because again, I know everybody's super high on Derrick Henry. Yep. Nick Chubb's better than Derrick Henry to me.
Or if they're going to put Henry at 10, Chubb needs to fall within 10 to 20. He does not get down to 36.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's absolutely insane to me. Derrick Henry too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he's good, but he did it for one season last year. I mean, before last year, was Derrick Henry talked about as a top tier running back?
He picks up at the end of the year, but I mean,
yeah. So I just looked up his stats because, I was thinking the same thing. So it was the end of 2018.
Yeah.
He came on, and he was like 150, yards a game the last, 5-6 games of the year. And then it transitioned into 2019. A lot of people weren't believers that they thought, hey, this guy was just running over people in 2018. He's not going to, but no, he came out, he backed it up, ran for 1,500 yards. But his first 2 years, 490, 744.
Here's to me the big tell. He averaged 5.1 yards per carry, and Nick Chubb averaged 5.
Yep.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry has definitely benefited from Mike Vrabel being in there and using him the right way. Mm-hmm. So many times, like I'd be watching a Titans game, and I'm like, you got Derrick frickin' Henry, and what you're like doing HB tossed out to the corner. Like this guy is made to just run linebackers over.
Yep.
And I think they finally started doing that more and getting him downhill, and he was just unstoppable kind of last year. Yep. So if we're going based off last season, I got to say him and Chubb were kind of almost a toss-up based off just last season because Derrick Henry did have a great year. I'm not going to take that away from him. But overall, I'm still taking Chubb.
And it's rough too because we're
biased.
Prisoners of the moment.
Yeah,
we're Browns fans.
But look at what Chubb did, and like you just said, Zach, in Tennessee they weren't using Henry the right way before.
Right.
Freddie didn't use him the right way. Are you kidding me?
Freddie didn't use anybody.
So many games, it's second half, and I remember watching the games going, "Where's Chubb? Why are we not running the ball?" And he still rattled off 1,400 yards.
So you wanted to know something that's kind of crazy because a lot of people think like that. Like we never used Chubb. Chubb had 298 attempts. Derrick Henry only had 303.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The problem is when we would run Nick Chubb.
Okay, there you go.
You know what I mean? We'd come out, he'd get the ball like 10 times in the first quarter and then only get the ball 10 more times the rest of the game.
Yeah, or if that.
Yeah. So to me, they were more consistently committed to the run game in Tennessee as it seemed like Freddie would be like, well, I'm going to get Nick Chubb the ball today. And he would remember that for about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he would
or he had like a quota
forget.
he had to meet, so he wanted to meet it as quickly as he could.
Yep.
And then deep pass.
What stats do you have pulled up there?
I got Chubb and Henry.
Do you have Pro Football Reference up?
No.
No. All right. So it was 1772 total yards on their touches for Nick Chubb, 1746. So I mean, the guys were. It's close.
Well, that's like one of those things.
But then, like the ranking, though, like see, that's where it comes back to like what is
26 difference.
valued. Yeah, because you got these guys. It's almost like a pick'em type of situation. But like Justin said, Nick Chubb, not out there, probably not on everybody's radar. Is like an awesome guy. Like you want to hang. I can't wait to talk to Nick Chubb after the game because he'd probably blow you off. And he's in the locker room already changed and leaving the stadium.
He's doing like a post-game workout.
Yeah.
Anytime he says anything, I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Especially like the call out on the teammates from last year. I'm like, oh man, whoa.
Well,
Yeah,
and
we're gonna ruffle some feathers.
everybody had to watch Derrick Henry's playoff run.
Yeah.
And Nick Chubb didn't have a playoff run. So
Yep. Agreed.
I'm sure that goes into it.
I really think Nick Chubb this year,
Yep.
he's
We're
poised to
expecting big things.
Now, if Stefanski doesn't maximize Chubb, I don't know who will. That's the thing.
I really think, Chubb, man, as long as Kareem Hunt doesn't cut into his carries too much.
I don't know if it's, I think they could, we've talked about that. They could easily each see 15 touches or more a game.
Absolutely. And it wouldn't shock me.
I'm not going to predict 2,000 rushing yards from Nick Chubb, but if he came out and we were talking like he's got a chance at that, I would not be shocked.
No?
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
And then he'd move up to 30 on the list.
Yeah. Yeah, right, bro. 35.
All right. Well, hey, that was the Browns players on the list. I think Jarvis and Odell kind of, we could make a case for them to be a little higher, but they're not in bad spots. I think Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb definitely got the raw end of the deal a little bit there. So now that we focus on the Browns, we kind of want to go around the league a little bit, just, kind of some of the more eye-opening ones from around this list. And just focusing on the top four, the number one player in the league, as voted by the players, was not Patrick Mahomes.
Which is still pretty crazy. I'm doing like a lot of fantasy right now, and I just don't buy into Lamar Jackson. Like, don't get me wrong, just like he's good, but I'm seeing like guys take Lamar Jackson like second overall in fantasy, and I'm just going, hey, thanks for all those running backs. Cool. What are you guys doing?
Right.
What is going on right now?
Yeah. It's interesting, and Mahomes took offense to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, so he took offense to it of not being, not number one, but not
number two or number three.
Not the top quarterback either. A guy who just won the Super Bowl. And he's shown when he's on the field that he's just as unstoppable as Lamar Jackson is at times. But Lamar Jackson doesn't have a Super Bowl ring.
If you're saying, hey, we have to take a quarterback to start a franchise, I'm not taking Lamar Jackson. First off, the shelf life, I don't believe that it lasts.
Yeah.
And then Patrick Mahomes is just, like, for me, I don't know. Like, I hear guys talk about, man, I got to see Elway play. I got to see Dan Marino play. So for us, it's probably Brady. We've seen some really good guys play. Yeah, Drew Brees. Yeah.
Peyton.
Brett Favre. We've gotten to see some really, really good ones. He's probably going to be this next generation.
Agreed.
Wow, that guy is. And who knows? To me, it's crazy that he already has a Super Bowl ring. Like, if you would have told me, hey, the Chiefs win the Super Bowl last year, I'd have been like, no.
Right.
San Francisco's going to be there. Baltimore's going to be there. It's not going to be Kansas City.
Yeah, we were talking before the show, like in 10 years from now, we'll be saying things like, did you guys see what Patrick Mahomes did on Sunday?
Yeah.
Wow. And we'll also be saying, remember when Lamar Jackson played?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say that
he won't
now
be there.
about Patrick Mahomes. I'll be like, that no-look pass from I don't know, it was 2 years ago. That's probably the filthiest thing I've ever seen a quarterback do as far as throwing the ball.
Yeah, that or he's scrambling and fighting off a sack and he just puts the ball in his left hand and throws it to his running back.
Or just chucks it,
Mahomes plays with I've never seen anybody play football the way he plays. He plays with I don't want to say it's like a carelessness, like, because he does care. Like, he's out there competing, but he's competing in a way that no one else has really ever competed. Like, he just he can throw caution to the winds because he knows it's going to work.
It's almost like when you like at recess in school.
There you go.
And you were playing like pickup football, and the player who was just the best. Yeah. He would just would do stupid things, but it would work because he was so much better than everybody. Like, I'm not going to throw it to the wide open guy. I'm just going to dodge all 12 of these kids and then run for a touchdown. That's what he's out there doing. He's so much better than everybody else that he's just it doesn't matter what I do. I can just be all willy nilly and I'll just huck it, chuck it, touchdown. So
how would you like to be everybody in that draft who was fighting over Mitch Trubisky at the top?
Oh my gosh! And he probably won't even survive on that team this year.
No,
not survive. That's the wrong wording there. That was 24 hours of non-sleep. He probably won't make it through the season as the starting quarterback.
No.
Nick Foles is not good either, unless it's the Super Bowl.
I remember when the Chiefs took Mahomes, and I was like, why did they do that?
Right.
I was like, Alex Smith is balling out for them. Why would they take this guy? And I remember then when they got rid of Alex Smith so they could go, I was like, what are these guys doing?
Yeah, because Smith wasn't like Smith was like, oh man, we 2-10 right now. We better.
No, and I was like, what is this? I was like, what are they doing? This guy's a rookie. We don't even know what this guy's going to be like. I remember everybody on ESPN was like, watch out for this. And I was like, whatever, I'll believe it when I see it. And then all I did was come out in his first year starting and throw for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Peyton Manning year.
They did the right thing. Yeah, really. They did the right thing, though, by just drafting him when they did and sitting him and saying, you're not going to play this year. That's it. End of story.
I want to say they got him at 12 in the first round. Just, hey, we're up.
Yeah, I mean, I knew just because of being an Oklahoma fan, watching him in the Big 12, but how many times do we see that, though? Like, if guys, Mason Rudolph is really he put up huge stats.
Johnny Manziel.
Cole McCoy was a great college quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, we see that all the time. So, but, Mahomes, he's got a different attitude. I like that he plays with a little bit of swag out on the field because I think you need that. I don't think you can be a robot out there and just, ho hum, I just went out and did my job. No, you got to have a little bit of a personality to be successful and a league with as many egos as there are.
Yep.
The way he walks when he's on the field,
my God.
he looks like he has electricity just flowing through him at all times. He's always moving, and I'm just like, this guy is so hyped up.
Yes.
And he plays like it. And, hats off to Andy Reid. He's got one of the best head coaches who can get the most out of his players. I mean,
that's another thing, too. Just how lucky is Patrick Mahomes that he gets to come in and play for Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Baker came in, and he's had to play for Hugh Jackson, Freddie Kitchens, Greg Williams, and now he's on his fourth coach. And Patrick Mahomes got to come in and play for a Hall of Fame coach.
Well, and now the Browns, they have weapons, now, but usually we don't. And look at the weapons. NFL.
They got Hilaire now.
Yeah,
they're already saying he's gonna probably be their number one.
Yeah, they're really stacked. They got Mitchell Schwartz there on the line or whatnot. He's on this list in the top 100. But yeah, so he was dealt a perfect situation too.
Absolutely.
We've seen that with who knows. Who knows if Mason Rudolph put in that situation might have been different, but he's in Pittsburgh and he's throwing to guys that aren't Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce.
Mason Rudolph would suck no matter where he was.
And I'm with you on that because I think that there's just something about the player's makeup too. I mean, Holmes is just, man, he's different.
And he can all that speed wouldn't matter if Patrick Mahomes didn't have the arm he has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, he can he can just sling it. And hey, Tyreek, just run as fast as you can. I'll throw
it on a dime.
Yeah. Tyreek just comes back in the huddle and is like, hey, just letting you know that cornerback and safety they can't keep up with me. So if you just throw that ball 80 yards downfield, I'm going to be the one to get to it.
Yeah, I'm there.
So when the Ravens played against the Titans in the playoffs, Lamar Jackson was stoppable.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And then so they said, throw it, beat us with your arm, and he couldn't do it. The Texans were up, was it 24-0?
Yeah.
Against Mahomes.
That was the craziest.
I was like, wow.
No problem.
I was like, man, Deshaun he's going to do it.
They ended up scoring 51?
Yep.
Are you, come on.
Hey, you can't ever say this to a Ravens fan. I think Lamar made a huge leap in throwing between years 1 and 2.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
And now he's
looking at
pedestrian.
I'm looking at his stats. You guys know he only had 1,200 yards passing his first year.
I believe.
Did he play the whole season?
No, Joe Flacco
Joe
started.
Flacco, and then they
How many
traded
games did
and,
he play?
and it saved John Harbaugh's job. I think he played probably like the last 7 or 8. It was probably half the season because they were struggling, and everybody was like, "Oh, Harbaugh's got to go, Flacco's got to go," and Harbaugh was like, "All right, we're gonna play Lamar Jackson." It saved him his.
And so he ended up getting, say even if he played 8 games, he had 1,200 yards in 8 games. So he's on pace for 2,400 yards passing in his first year.
Yeah,
I mean, that's so bad. And even last year, he only had 3,100 yards. Now, what he does with his legs and everything is obviously what makes him different.
right.
But like you guys said, if you come out and you get up early on the Ravens and you make him throw, he does not have the ability to beat you with just his arm. His legs has to be in the equation.
Well, and I will say, like, not that I'm kind of, sticking up to him for a point. He does have a huge arm. He's got a big arm. Like, he can throw the ball downfield. It's just he's not accurate. He's like a Cam Newton.
Who knows where it's going?
Yeah, like Cam Newton has a wide open receiver, 30 yards down the field, and he airmails him by 15 yards.
Don't tell a Ravens fan, though, that he's a below average passer. Because all they'll tell you, he threw, look how many touchdown passes he had. Well, yeah, I could lead if you put me behind their line and then told the DBs on the other team, hey, don't cover any of these receivers.
Yeah.
You better come up and stop. You better not let Lamar Jackson get to the outside.
Yeah. So, I mean, come on. You can just sit there and watch him throw the ball, and you can tell that he's not an elite level NFL caliber passing quarterback.
Another guy that, and like Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, in a situation where John Harbaugh and Greg Roman said, hey, here's the keys. We're going to make everything around this so you're successful. And it works. So many times we don't see that in the NFL of coaches that are willing to say, hey, I'm going to change everything that I've done, for the past 5, 6, 7 years, and we're gonna tailor this offense for you, and I'm gonna die on my sword if it doesn't work.
As bad as as below average as he is at passing, he can run it. The best running.
He might be the best. He might be the best running back in the league. I mean, just because you can't catch him.
Maybe ever. The way he runs the ball I'll never take that away from him. Does that translate to a 10-year career?
No. Well, and think about him running though. He is running with an advantage from the start because as soon as he drops back, you got to think he's going to throw.
Yeah.
So it's not like handing the ball off to a running back. As soon as they get the ball, they're running the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to do a Freddie fake out crap.
He is electric. I just don't think he should be above Patrick Mahomes.
No, but number 2 on this list, as far as quarterbacks go, I love this guy.
Well, I just for something crazy, because I also am very, very high. Are we talking about Russell Wilson?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm very, very high on Russell Wilson.
We all know how high I am. If you guys watched episode 2 this year.
Yeah, you were going to do that.
You're going to draft the team. Trade the whole team for him. So just for fun, because I've heard you guys all say I don't think the top 3 is that great. What are you doing top 3 real quick? Just a quick hot top 3.
I'm not necessarily saying the top 3 is not that great. It's more the order of the top 3.
Well, give me, and it doesn't even have to be those. You could put Michael Thomas in it too if you wanted something crazy.
I'd probably go Mahomes 1.
Yep.
And then I'd have to have a real considerate. Honestly, Lamar probably is 2 or 3 for me.
I would
honestly,
say
the top 4 I don't have a problem with. It's just the biggest fact that Patrick Mahomes is in number 1 is my biggest issue.
I would agree with that. I mean, I don't really have out of the top. I don't know. George Kittle's fantastic, but I don't know if he's 7. But you're splitting hairs on most of these guys. You got George Kittle at 7. You got Travis Kelce down at 18. You got Khalil Mack at 19. There's a 13 pick gap there.
I guess what I don't understand is how you can have a top 10 players in the NFL. And Tom Brady's not in the top 10. I know Josh, a lot of people hate Tom Brady. I get it.
I wasn't going that direction, man.
But come on, every year, you guys think Tom Brady's going to the Super Bowl one way or another, and it either happens or almost happens every year.
Offensively, he's got the best team Other than that, Randy
Now,
Moss
this year will be very interesting.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one player to kick out of the top 10,
Dude,
it'd probably be DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh my God.
Really?
I don't know, man.
It would
The statement was met with disagreement.
I'd have to go look at 11 through 20 real quick.
There's 11 through 20, man.
I know.
I'm keeping Hopkins up there.
Yeah.
If it's me, I'm
Here's
keeping
the thing.
Hopkins.
So I listen to a lot of different radio shows, okay? And a lot of talk out of the Texans why they traded him is because they believe he's on the decline.
He's like 28, 29? Yeah, I mean,
they believe he's on the decline. That's why they got. Who you taking, Julio or DeAndre?
So
for my team, I would take Julio Jones.
I'm taking Julio also.
I'm taking DeAndre out of what was he at 9, and I'm putting Julio up there.
For 11.
Julio was one of the biggest snubs of the top 10. That like reading the different reports, he was one of the biggest snubs out of the top 10. So that wasn't there.
If they put Julio at 8 and put DeAndre at 11.
I mean, I can make the argument that you take DeAndre Hopkins out, and I'm putting Khalil Mack in my top 10.
Yeah.
You know,
I think Joshua too.
I would. I definitely would.
I know.
The guy that well, go ahead. I'll tell you.
There's a lot of guys on this list like that I don't think now, and I don't know. I'd have to see 100 through 200 to see who didn't make the list. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of guys on the list that I don't think made it that could have made it and maybe been higher if you like a quarterback wise. Like you really think that Kyler Murray and Josh Allen's better than Carson Wentz?
Yeah.
Carson Wentz isn't on this list?
Isn't on the list. What about Ben Roethlisberger? You think Josh Allen is better than Ben Roethlisberger?
Yeah, but it was based on last year, and Ben didn't play.
Okay.
Right, but I mean, based on last year, Carson Wentz put together a season to get his,
Eagles.
Cleveland Browns rostered, 2010 team to the playoffs.
I agree.
Sure. Yeah.
And you got and I think Kyler Murray, I think he could be special.
Oh, he's got upside.
He could be.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen,
no.
I just don't see it. But you got a guy like DK Metcalf, good rookie season. To be in the top 181st.
Yeah.
81st on this list.
One higher than Myles Garrett?
Yeah.
Lower? Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's like Allen Robinson was really good a couple years ago, had a pretty good year last year. But he's ranked in the top 100. He's 93rd. I mean, some of these guys I just like.
Where's Cole Beasley?
Yeah, Cole Beasley's sitting at home.
Yeah, 113 or something.
Yeah, so they had a list on this website that I had the guys that didn't make it.
I saw that too.
Even some of them, I was like, well.
Julian Edelman at 101.
Yeah, like Julian Edelman. I like Julian Edelman. He's a winner, and he'll do, but I don't know if he's an elite wide receiver that you're picking in the league.
He is in fantasy. I mean,
and then Marquise Pouncey and the Steelers at center is 102. They got Leonard Fournette at 110.
I want to throw this. Is there anybody on the current Browns that you thought didn't make it that should have made it? I got one name that comes to mind for me, like right off the top of my head.
So when I'm looking at the top 10 list and I see George Kittle at number 7, first of all, Khalil Mack should be in this top 10. And if you're going to move somebody out of the top 10, is George Kittle better for his team than Khalil Mack is for his? I think Khalil Mack on that defense, yikes. You know what I mean? But why is Austin Hooper, what other tight ends are on this list that he can't make the top 100?
Back-to-back Pro Bowl seasons.
Yeah, and Hooper, another guy that I think just doesn't talk enough or make it. He has a really good season, but he doesn't make that huge splash. He doesn't have that huge highlight play of George Kittle just stiff-armed a guy, threw him out of bounds down the sideline on a 40-yard touchdown.
And I think a big part of it, too, is Atlanta was terrible last year and always playing from behind and made no noise at all. I think that plays into it. I mean...
Oh, my gosh. I just read something else.
Oh, boy.
So they got Austin Hooper. So I found it broke down based on the position from the website that I was using from the top 100. Austin Hooper is at 8.
On tight ends?
On tight ends. He's at 8.
Who they got above him?
Jared Cook.
Okay, so then this would be a whole different discussion. Tight end wise, it's kind of a pick 'em of who you think the best. You got George Kittle at 1. They have Kelsey at 2. Mm-hmm. they have Hunter Henry at 3. Like Hunter Henry, great one year.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt. But Hunter Henry at 3. You got Zach Ertz at 4. I like Zach Ertz.
Mm-hmm.
Disrespectful Mark Andrews at 5.
I think he
a little disrespectful there. Guy that I think huge upside, Darren Waller. I do like Darren Waller. But Tyler Higbee at 7?
Yeah. I mean, he was still
Over
last year.
Austin Hooper?
Three great games, man.
And then you got
right.
And then how about this guy? I know he just took a year off, but Rob Gronkowski is back in the NFL this year. Where's he list on next year?
We'll see.
I think.
And then you got Evan Ingram at 10. Evan Ingram, he just can't stay on the field at
And if
all.
he stays healthy, I think he's a legit top 5 guy.
He's a supreme athlete, man.
But there's your rankings at tight end. Tyler Higbee at 7? Like, that's the one I saw, and I'm like, wait a minute. He wasn't even the tight end that I played from the Rams last year sometimes. I picked Gerald Everett.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing with Gronkowski, I don't know if you guys saw when they released the initial Madden ratings for this year, they had Gronk at a 97.
Yeah, I don't
And everybody's like, what are you doing? He didn't even play last year, and he wasn't
drinking the Kool-Aid.
He wasn't that elite anyway the last time we saw him.
No, he had their Super Bowl run. He would just make like that 1 or 2 big plays a game. But other than that, he didn't do nothing crazy.
I mean, he's a guy you have to cover. You got to be on him, but
No. This website that I'm looking at, they're just crazy.
So Browns player that I thought should have probably made this list, Joel Bitonio.
yeah.
Joel Bitonio, all he does is make Pro Bowls lately. I mean, he's kind of like our version of, he's like our Joe Thomas now, only at guard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's probably going to keep making Pro Bowls for a while. I mean, the way I look at it, he's kind of on like a trajectory, like a Hall of Fame trajectory, especially if we start winning games.
Yeah, I mean, you go back and you look at it, like we say that about Joe Thomas, and now Joe Thomas was a staple for a long time. But Joel Bitonio, is he really doing many things different than what Joe Thomas did at his position? And we talk about Joe Thomas as one of the like all-time great linemen in NFL history.
Yeah.
I mean, Bitonio, he does the same thing almost, it kind of a lot of his go unnoticed.
Yeah. I know the one that's really upsetting for me. I think Zach will agree with me also. Where's Ricky Seals-Jones at on this list?
Yeah, you got Tyler Higbee on here.
I'm talking about the top 100, man. I'm talking about the top 100. 6 touchdowns last year. I just don't, I'm just giving you a hard time, man.
It took the league by storm last year.
He's one injury away from making
he's on this list. He's on this list 2021.
That's what I like to say.
Hey, he might be on this list. Kelsey goes down week 1.
He would for sure be on the.
I mean, that would be a big waiver wire pickup.
And he'd probably get a nice contract after that. Somebody would take a chance on him. Mm-hmm. Another one that I thought was crazy that I talked to Blake about. How you guys feel about Jimmy Garoppolo at 43?
Big high. I mean, they're high on Jimmy Garoppolo is a good quarterback.
I don't even know that that's true.
Garoppolo was at 43 and Carson Wentz didn't make the list?
Didn't make the list.
Correct.
That's what
I think
who didn't make the list? A guy who he's just every year he puts up huge numbers and sometimes they're really successful and lately they haven't been. Matt Ryan didn't make the list.
Right. Yeah. Is Deshaun Watson on this list?
Yeah, he's at like 20 or something like that.
But Matt Ryan, all he does is throw for 4,500 yards every year.
And Jimmy G, that's the quarterback that
ran the ball the whole time.
If he hits that pass in the Super Bowl, they probably win. And he overthrows the guy and they lose. Mm-hmm. So
I think he's benefits a lot from the system.
From Kyle Shanahan.
Who you taking at running back? So we talked about Gurley. Here's a running back that didn't make the list. So Gurley or Joe Mixon? Right now.
Oh, right now I take Joe Mixon all day, every day.
Joe Mixon didn't make the list. Gurley's top 60.
Joe Mixon showed last year what he's capable of whenever the team finally commits to him. He gives him more than, because a couple games
that was another guy that I saw that wasn't on the list. I'm just like, DK Metcalf made it over DK Metcalf had a good rookie year, but you're telling me that he's better at his position than somebody like Joe Mixon?
Or
I can't believe that Gurley is there instead of Joe Mixon. I get that Gurley had those years where he was the running back in the league.
Yeah, but only for really 2 years.
Maybe a year and a half. You're right. I mean,
it's not like he did it for a long time. It's not like he was a staple of the league for 6-7 years.
He started slow. They switched coaches. He got hot. He was really good. And then he sucked.
Yeah.
And now he's higher than Nick Chubb.
Somebody that I would plug in too in place of Gurley, if they got traded back to Pittsburgh, what about Le'Veon Bell?
Where's he at on the list?
He's not on the list. He's not on the list.
Le'Veon Bell's not.
He's completely left out.
He's not on the list.
That's crazy. I think, and that's
him and Cole Beasley sitting in a room somewhere thinking, man, they got this wrong.
Yeah, we should link up.
Just like Raymond Siggs making a hit list.
Super roster.
Buffalo need a running back.
That's just because Adam Gase told everybody, you do not put Le'Veon Bell on this list. He is not that good.
Yeah.
They're like, Adam, where are you looking?
He's looking in the 8th row out in the media stands.
Big wide receiver, and this guy goes unnoticed a little bit. Kenny Golladay is a stud wide receiver, and he's not on the list. All he's done is had 2,000 yard years in a row. But hey, DK Metcalf.
And don't get me wrong, I like Metcalf a lot, but man, like you said.
And looking at some of them, Tyler Lockett was ranked pretty high. As a what, and he does things really well.
Yeah.
But to say he was in the same realm as a Jarvis Landry and Odell, he was in the same tier as them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Come on now.
He was 4 spots behind Jarvis.
This is why writers vote on the NFL or on the Hall of Fame stuff and awards, and the players don't get to vote.
Well, yeah, I mean, half the NFL players probably like, hey, I don't even know these guys, so I'm just gonna go based on my division. Sure.
Who was in the Super Bowl?
I play him twice a year. He's pretty good, so I'm gonna put him on
Yeah, I don't got time to do this. I got some girls sneaking into the hotel in 10 minutes. Whatever.
That guy got his fame or whatnot. We'll see if he gets picked up anywhere. But I
think he destroyed his career.
Yeah, he will be known as the
guy that tried to sneak a girl in with a deck of Uno cards. Just to,
Hopefully he can stretch that 2K long enough to get a job at Hertz Enterprise or whatever.
Or Scheffler.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, can we contact your last employer? And he's gonna be like, oh yeah, I guess.
Why'd you leave your last job?
Pete Carroll, this guy's sneaking girls in with hoodies over their head.
Oh, gee.
Oh man. Well, hey, that was a lot of fun going over the list. I actually think I didn't even realize some of the snubs, not even focusing just on the Browns, just in general. I did not. I went through this whole list, for the Browns, and didn't even notice that Le'Veon Bell was missing. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's crazy to me. So that was a lot of fun. I think it was kind of fun to focus on the Browns and go around the league a little bit. Mm-hmm. So we're going to wrap this thing up so these guys can get home and get to bed. Remember to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. The handles are at the top of the screen. At least I hope they are. Please subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. We really want to get to 100. If you're a contest winner, you should be getting those shirts hopefully sometime soon. They've been ordered. If you do get your shirts and you want to send us a picture or tag us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that'd be awesome. And we'll catch you guys next week when we do whatever it is we think of during the week. Have a good week, everybody.